Richard, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
The title for this year's conference is Driving the Economic Machine. What does that mean and what can investment do?
Okay, so investment's at the very heart of the economic machine. It's the capital that businesses use in order to develop themselves. And that development is growth, and that growth translates into investment returns, and that's what we, the pensions industry, need. So driving the economic machine, what's that all about? It's about helping pension funds to maximise the returns that they can get, so that they're helping DB sponsors do the heavy lifting on the funding obligations that they have, so they can help DC members do the heavy lifting on getting good retirement outcomes. So driving the economic machine, it's all about improving the quality of returns, improving the long-term returns, getting better quality pensions.
I think you've talked about it being a fair and prosperous, sustainable future that they could create and provide.
Yeah, I mean, pension fund investment companies can and should be a force for good. I think our members are a force for good, but there are some out there who aren't such a force for good. Our members, I think, are a force for good, and we're trying to drive forward that agenda of a fairer, longer-term, sustainable society.
It's absolutely crucial with an ageing demographic. Just the responsibility these companies have is enormous.
Yeah, and it's not actually necessarily the ageing demographic. Our demographic is really quite complicated now. There's a younger generation of new people emerging. We've got a younger generation of savers because of auto-enrolment. But we are giving these investment companies huge amounts of money. Our members have over £1 trillion worth of cash invested in this and other economies. That's a huge responsibility. It's only going to go up.
And what are the big challenges they're facing at the moment? Because it's obviously 10 years since the global crash. We're in a pretty sustained good credit cycle at the moment. There's fears that the bubble might burst. There's fears that a low carbon future will cause issues. There's challenges of regulation and transparency. There's so much for them to deal with.
Oh, there's a huge amount. I suppose the biggest difficulty is uncertainty. Nobody knows quite where the world's going to go. But you know what? That's always been the case. We've always had uncertainty. Investment uncertainty is what we've lived with for as long as we've been investing assets. And I think at this point in time, what we're trying to do is fine-tune the machine. It may sound like we're trying to deal with some really big, chunky issues, and we are. But by and large, it's fine-tuning the machine so that we can deliver better risk-adjusted returns for the members, the DB investors and the DC investors. So things like cost and charges disclosure, it's not fundamentally changing what's going on. It is fine-tuning it so that fiduciaries, me and my day job, can assess value for money so that the market can do its magic on driving down costs through competition. We have low carbon arguments and actually the wider ESG debate. It's about fine-tuning this so that we're getting better long-term risk-adjusted returns. So it's mostly fine-tuning, but there is huge amounts to do right now.
You talked there about ESG and transparency, two themes that are quite important in terms of the end consumer's perception. And that's very important because trust in pensions will mean that people invest more.
Yeah, actually it's not necessarily, if people trust pensions, then hopefully they will invest more. But more people are going to be investing more in any event because of the rollout of auto-enrolment, because of the funding demands on DB schemes. We do have to try to win the consumer over, but I'm not naive enough to think that we will ever fully win over the consumer. Where you give somebody your money, there's always going to be an element of mistrust. But we have got to do it as much as we can to try to win their trust.
Here at the PLSA, you also try to evolve as an organisation as well as coping and helping your members. So tell me about that.
Oh, it's great. I've been involved with the PLSA for the last 6 years or so, 6 or 7 years. And there's never been a period of time when we've stopped. We're always doing new stuff to try and find ways of doing things better for our members. So at the moment we're consulting to find a new chair for our new policy board. Somebody will lead the charge on the development of our policy work. I became chair last October. Julian became chief executive during the course of last year. So it's constant change. That's never going to stop. And
also when you became chair, you announced Open PLSA.
Yeah. And that's just a drive to try to get more members more involved in our policy output. We produce really high quality policy output, but the way to get even better quality policy output is to get more people involved in the argument, because then you can test those arguments, you can really go through them, you can get all of the best ideas, But also, really importantly, the more people who are behind your argument, the more weight it carries. And we represent over 20 million pension savers, investing, as I've just said, over £1 trillion worth of assets. We've got a voice that needs to be heard, so we need more members getting involved in the policy debate to a greater extent to give it weight.
So a conference like this is an opportunity for that voice to be heard, as you said there. What do you hope the 1,000 attendees that are here in Edinburgh take away?
So what I hope they'll take away is that they'll be better informed, better connected. They'll have learned some interesting stuff. They'll have met some good people. I hope they'll have had fun as well. For the exhibitors, I hope they'll have met some potential new customers. They'll have extended their network. For the PLSA itself, I hope we'll have made new friends, more people who can join in that policy debate, who can help us to produce good quality policy argument.
Richard, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you.